I don't really like Undertale. I had it in my Steam library for quite a long time and just never played it despite the constant pestering from my friends. The game, though, is now at least 10 years old, and I finally caved and decided that enough was enough. I'm going to go and play this game. And with it being the first time that I'm ever playing, seeing if the game is as good as everyone else said. Undertale is not really an underground game, so I'm not going to spend too long talking about the actual game, because 90% of people are already probably aware of everything the game has. But you play as a human that has fallen into the underground. You are given the option to either fight everything, fight nothing, or do a mix of both, and each one changes how the game plays out. I had a pretty good idea of all three routes before I went and actually played the game, but didn't really have any of the context within them or anything really important within them. So I started off with the pacifist route because that's what my friend said I should do. The first thing that I realized after starting my playthrough is that this game just looks really nice. I enjoy this kind of pixel art style that the game has going on. It's something that's really simple and clean, and I'm just a bit of a sucker for pixel art in general. The second thing is that there was a lot of care put into the actual dialogue, and the enemies that you actually encounter. Way more than I ever expected. I already knew about some of the main characters, like Toriel and Sans, and everything that they generally had to offer, so I wasn't too interested in them. However, I did not know about Papyrus and his dialogue, and I was not ready to interact with this skeleton. The dialogue on him is some of the best things that I have read in a very long time when playing a game. The amount of non-seriousness and overall comedy on it raised my spirits significantly when I was playing this game. This was immediately followed up by some of my other favorite characters, such as Lesser Dog, and these two other dogs, and this good boy. There's just so much life to most of these characters, and I've only really just started the game. Even the dialogue between them and the actions you actually get to take when interacting with them are really fun and amusing. Such as Lesser Dog, where you get to just keep petting him and watch his neck grow longer and longer until he just goes off the screen. This is great. Every time you enter into a battle in this game, you are put into a happy little box with a heart, and you have to, for the most part, avoid enemy attacks like it's a bullet hell. I don't really play a lot of bullet hells, so I wasn't really sure if I was going to enjoy this that much. But in the case of Undertale, it was a lot of fun to actually play. Most of the battles don't go insane, so it doesn't feel too overwhelming, like you're in an actual bullet hell game, and because there's a lot of charm with the actual enemies and what you have to do, it kinda distracts you from the fact that this is sort of a bullet hell. The only true bullet hell that I know of is at the end of the route, but I was pretty sure by the time I got there, I'd be decent at dodging these bullets, so it wouldn't really be too much of a problem. But what was really an enjoyment to see is that not every battle was exactly the same. Fights like the Undying fight have a completely different mechanic for some of it, and then switch back to the more bullet hell that you're used to. This keeps everything really fresh in my opinion, and I honestly liked more of these special fights than the regular ones a lot of the time. For all the fights though in the pacifist route, the main goal is to not hurt the enemy that you're fighting, so you have to go and interact with them, and these interactions give a lot of options for you to choose from, and only a couple of options actually lead to you being able to spare the opponent. So you get to have a lot of fun with choice and see what works, what doesn't, and read the dialogue as you interact with these creatures. One great example is my favorite person, Aaron. He simply requires you to flex at him, and then he will flex and begin flying off the screen, and I completely love that. Another great one is this snow guy who you have to let him tell you a joke, and you laugh at his joke because he wants to be a comedian. You even meet his dad later in the game who mentions his son tells jokes. That's really good. I like that a lot. The world just feels like it's so full of life, and there isn't really any room or area that you can go into that doesn't have something for you to enjoy. Even rooms without any NPCs have something in it for you to go and look at and enjoy. So nothing gets boring in this game, and the game doesn't go on really long enough for you to ever get bored of what's happening. Of course though, I eventually wrapped up the pacifist route and decided to go and try the opposite side of the coin. I really enjoyed the pacifist route and everything that was in it, but it was time to go and do a genocide run. Genocide run is pretty simple. Instead of going and being completely nice to everyone, you go and violently clear out the entire underground. And this is the route that has the absolute hardest fights in the game. At this point, I was really enjoying Undertale and its combat, so I was more ready for whatever the game had to actually throw at me. The first slightly mild annoying thing, though, with the genocide route that I noticed, is that it's really annoying to go and get enough enemies to actually progress to the next room. You have to just go up to a wall and violently go up and down until you end up getting something, and each time you find an enemy, the chance to find another one goes down. So it's a lot more time-consuming in that end, but it also skips all of the puzzles and most of the other content, so it about balances out. The first major fight, though, in the actual route is fighting Undyne, and that fight was a lot of fun. It only took me about 6 attempts to get through it, though, but I really enjoyed the up challenge from the pacifist route. This time, she was a lot harder to fight, and took a lot longer overall, but it was a lot of fun. Other than that, though, there wasn't really a whole lot of other stuff. It just had more good story that was from a different perspective of you being evil that I'm not really going to spoil in the small chance who's ever watching this video hasn't played Undertale yet. One of the last fights in the game is considered the hardest in the entire game, and I've still yet to do it, as I keep failing, but I'll get back to you whenever I actually get around to it. Because, yeah, this one's actually really challenging, and I swear he cheats. The last route in the game, though, is the mixed route, and I never really got around to playing that one because I was told there's no difference in the content really, so I decided to forgo it. However, though, when I started this adventure, I had almost zero interest in Undertale, or really anything to do with it, and now after going and playing through the game, I can really see why people like it. There's just so much charm and personality in the game, and it feels so alive and great to play. So, I've changed my opinion. Undertale is awesome, and I think it's about time I go check out Deltarune.